Hey y'all, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to make some diaper rash cream. Now this is such a simple recipe and all it has in it is cornstarch, coconut oil, and beeswax, which you can leave out, and we'll talk about that a little bit in a minute, and then some lavender essential oil, which you could also leave out. All of my kids have been super rash prone, and when my second came around, that was when I was really kind of contemplating ingredients and looking at things and getting a little nervous by them. So I started experimenting with different diaper rash creams, and finally 4 years later I have a great diaper rash cream that I love. And actually a couple days ago I made some of this as a gift to give to someone at church, so I really hope she enjoys it too, and I really hope that, like, if she does like it, she realizes just how easy it is to make. So what you're going to need for this DIY today is, like I said, we're going to need cornstarch, plain old cornstarch. This is not the non-GMO stuff, I'm sorry. Coconut oil. This is refined. Unrefined is much better, but I don't have any of that. This is all I have right now, so I'm just going to use it. Beeswax, as you can see, I hardly have any left, but we're only going to use about a teaspoon. You're going to need lavender oil, and then a little container, and I'm just using this little clear Tupperware container. You want something that's more tub style, obviously, so that you can scoop it out. One of those cute little wide mouth mason jars would work wonderfully for this. Now the cornstarch is in here because the cornstarch is going to add a little bit of dryness and moisture wicking properties. Also, when it is combined with the coconut oil, it makes a wonderful paste that helps make a water barrier, a moisture barrier, and it also makes it stick together so it clings to the baby's skin better. Coconut oil is also in there for its moisturizing properties, but coconut oil it's antifungal, it's antibacterial, it's anti-everything. It's a wonderful thing. Now you do lose a few of those properties when it is refined, so definitely get yourself some unrefined, but that's all I had, like I said, so I'm just going to use it, so don't feel bad if you have to use it. Now the beeswax can definitely be left out, but it is serving a few purposes. One of those purposes is obviously because coconut oil in temperatures above 72 degrees becomes a liquid. So when we put the beeswax in it, we're actually making it a little bit thicker and solidify, and just makes it more convenient to use. I've used this without the beeswax before, and there's not a whole lot of a difference. The other thing, though, that we are getting from the beeswax is the beeswax creates a wonderful barrier, much like if you were to put like Burt's Bees lip balm on your lips and it gives that waxy kind of coating. This is the same thing that we're doing here. So like I said, you can leave it out if you don't have it, but definitely get your hands on some if you can. And then, like I said, the lavender oil. The lavender oil is anti-inflammatory, mildly antibacterial, mildly antifungal. It's going to help calm irritated skin. We're only going to put about 3 drops in the whole thing, so it's not going to be super strong. I would totally feel comfortable putting this on a newborn. So I know that some people are a little iffy on oils, but because lavender is probably the only oil that I would put directly on, well, I would dilute it, but lavender is probably the only oil that I would put on a young baby. And then because we're only putting about 2 to 3 drops to 3/4 of a cup of coconut oil, I think it'll be absolutely fine. So to start out with, you're going to need a small saucepan. Now we are going to be melting down the beeswax, and the thing about melting beeswax is that sometimes it can be very tricky. So if you have a double boiler, I recommend that you use that because you don't want to scorch anything. But we're going to just go ahead and do it this way today. And so I'm having the hardest time getting a good shot, like, so you can see everything. You can see that a little bit because the weather is horrible today, and the lighting was great earlier, and I had my kitchen light off because I do this and the lighting changes in the camera and it's really annoying, but the weather is just, so that's not happening. So what we're going to do is measure out our 3/4 of a cup of coconut oil. And remember, you do not have to be exact when you do this stuff, and actually I'm not even going to dirty a measuring spoon. Oh, I need coconut oil. A little more. Okay. And then to that, we're going to add 1 teaspoon of beeswax. Now, this is the pellets. If you have the blocks, and actually I think Walmart and craft stores sell the blocks because people use it for candles and soaps and things like that. you would just grate it with a cheese grater. And so we're going to do a teaspoon, so a fourth half whole. Okay, yeah, my numbers are worn off. It drives my husband crazy. Okay, so 1 teaspoon of our beeswax. Now, I'm using a small amount. If you want this really firm, or like maybe you don't have air conditioning or it's the middle of summer, welcome to Florida, you could do as much as 2 teaspoons, but it's really going to depend on your environment in your home. And now we're going to do a tablespoon of cornstarch. And this I'm going to do slightly heaping. I'm not going to like level it off like I normally would. So you can see, yeah, okay. I'm not being super neat with this. And we're just going to put this in the pot. Now remember, you never add your oils until your heat's off because you don't want them to oxidize too much. Okay, and now because my stove is kind of ghetto, I'm going to light my stove. Okay, and I've got this on high. I'm not trying to be snotty, but because I do this a lot, I'm comfortable with putting it on high. If you're a newbie at things like this, you might want to turn your stove down a bit more. And all we're going to do is melt all of this down. Now the beeswax is obviously going to take the longest to melt, so we just want to mix this up nicely and make sure that your cornstarch dissolves completely. I have seen a few recipes that include cornstarch, and for some reason they don't add the cornstarch until afterwards, and then you get clumps of it, and I'm not into that. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to turn this light on real quick because I can't see that well. And it's almost dissolved. Now this, because there is no water in this, and so long as everything that has been used to prepare this and store this is clean, this will last you probably a year. Now, that's without spoilage. This really only lasts me about 2 to 3 months. So it really just depends on your usage of this. And this can be used for all kinds of things. Excuse me. And now it is melted. Burner off. Okay. See, you can somewhat see it's all mixed in now. And so now we're going to add 3 drops of our lavender oil. And here, I'll move it over here so you can see. Not that you really need to see me pour oil into a container. So 1, 2, 3. That came out really fast. Okay. And now, I forgot to turn my notifications off on my phone. I'm sorry. I just got an email. Sorry. Now we're just going to mix this up. Now, because I'm actually storing this in a plastic container, I'm going to let this cool very slightly. Now, the thing about beeswax is going to coat everything that you put it in. So what you need to do is get yourself a very, very good spatula and mix this up very well. And then pour this into your container and then scrape as much as possible out and immediately put it in hot soapy water. I have a sink of water here already. My sink's directly in front of my camera. And that ensures, because you've mixed an oil with a wax, that ensures that this comes out really, really well. So I'll show you. Yeah, there's not too much of a reflection. You can see there's a little bit in there, but there's not a whole lot, and that's really what we want. And so here's our little container now. And we're going to let this sit and cool, and it will solidify. And when it does, it's ready to use. And you just rub it on the, change your baby's diaper, make sure they're completely dry. If my baby has a rash, which my youngest one, she'll be a year old in 2 weeks. Ugh. But if she has a very bad rash, she seems to be the worst with rashes, I will take her diaper off and I'll let her crawl around for a little while. If it's a very, very severe rash, I let her dry very well. Then I put some of this on, and then I put a pair of her sister's panties on her so that stuff doesn't get stuck to, as my neighbor calls it, her nethers. And that really helps, because diapers, especially if you don't cloth diaper, and I wish I did, diapers trap a lot of moisture. So that's why this coconut, or not the coconut oil, but the cornstarch is really going to help us out here. Now, I have a lot of other baby recipes, and you could even just use plain old cornstarch for baby powder. And actually nowadays that's what baby powder is glorified cornstarch. You can hardly find it with talcum powder in it anymore, because it does cause a lot of problems, as Johnson & Johnson's has shown us with their lawsuits. So you can definitely just take pure cornstarch and dust it over there. I do have a good recipe that I use that I combine with arrowroot flour. Arrowroot is unfortunately very hard to find, especially in our area, and I do know that a lot of my watchers right now are from McClenny, you know, or live here, so you know that it is quite difficult to come across. Now, like I said, this will keep you for about 6 months to a year because we have not introduced water into it. You could definitely, if let's say you feel like you're not going to use it enough, you could store it in the fridge, especially if you let the beeswax out, because if you put the beeswax in there and then store it in the fridge, it's going to be rock hard and very, very difficult to use. So I also wanted to let you know that in my last video, I talked with y'all about my Castile soap that I paid about $17 for it from GNC. The next day I went to Walmart and I had been in there. Remember I said in one of my videos that Walmart did have Castile soap, but it was not Dr. Bronner's. They had like their own brand. And I don't know if I mentioned this, but I was not comfortable with purchasing it because it had so many ingredients in it. Well, I happened to look again when I was in Walmart that next day, and they had Dr. Bronner's lavender and peppermint for $13.97. So I was really mad. So that's great for everyone else, though, especially people that live in our area. You don't have to order it. You don't have to go and pay $4 extra at GNC. You can go to Walmart and get it. And it is the 32-ounce size. It's not those, I want to say they're like 12 ounces, those little bottles. It's a good sized bottle and it will last you forever. So I know this is a little bit shorter video today, but this is kind of the length I was aiming for, is like 10 to 15 minutes, although some recipes are a bit more involved, and I would be remiss if I did not show you every single thing that words, so that I could show you how to do it properly, because I know this is very, very daunting for some people. So I thank y'all for watching, and please hit that subscribe button and the like button. It's taking off a little better than I really thought it would, and I know it's so stupid, but I feel like it just excites me. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I don't have a whole lot of thrills in my life right now anymore. So stay tuned, because I'm still working on that conditioner recipe, and I think I have finally cracked the code for an oil-based conditioner. Anyway, so if you have any questions, comments, concerns, words of wisdom, anything like that, go ahead and let me know. I will, of course, put all of the proportions in the description box down below. And thank you all so much for watching. Bye.